Hello and welcome back. My name is Stefano, and today we're going to be replacing my older Oeveo under-desk PC mount that currently houses my M1 Mac Mini and that it used to house my 16-inch MacBook Pro. And we're going to be replacing it with the UCM-242. This is 12 inches wide, 11 inches deep, and 4 inches high. So this thing is made for small form factor PCs. The Mac Mini is obviously going to fit well inside of here. But the primary reason why we're switching to this is because Oeveo's new mounts are ventilated now. So they're perforated and they allow for better airflow, unlike their older traditional mounts. And that's kind of the key reason why we'll be looking at replacing my previous mount, because it doesn't have any ventilation at all. So it gets pretty toasty. And currently the Mac Mini is sitting at about 58 degrees Celsius, or maybe even 56 or 7 degrees Celsius is usually what I see while I'm doing or running Rosetta at home to find those awesome proteins for COVID. And I would say that's pretty common. The air around my current M1 Mac Mini sits at about 32 degrees Celsius, so it's pretty toasty in there. And if I'm video editing and running Boink at the same time, things can get pretty hot. The desk itself will actually get pretty warm. So I'm hoping with this bigger mount that it'll allow more air to get in there and the fans in M1 Mac Mini to actually, circulate more air, thus making it cooler. So that's something we're definitely gonna look at now. Now, what's great about this mount, or really all of Oeveo's under-desk mounts, is that they're all steel and they're American made. So they're really good quality. And they all sport this like nice black matte finish, which I particularly like as it matches the general aesthetic of the room. So they've already got me sold on their products. Now, they did send this one over upon my request, so thank you there. And without any further waiting, let's go ahead and get the M1 Mac Mini unmounted from its current housing, and we'll get them switched over. First things first, let's give ourselves some room to work here. So it is a little hard to see, but we basically need to unplug all of the cables behind the Mac Mini, so that way we can get it removed from here. Alright, so there's 4 screws that we need to loosen on all 4 sides of this, and we're going to reuse the same hardware. The new mount does include hardware, but we're just going to use what we already have. Alright, there we go. Previous mount removed. Now just to put the other one in. Okay, so this should be pretty straightforward. I'm just going to line this up where I think I about want it, and then I'm just going to mark some holes with my permanent marker to let me know where to screw my pilot holes. And now I'm just gonna slightly drill a little bit for my pilot holes to make this easier on myself. Oh. Alright, there's only one problem. These screws are just too big for my desk in terms of length, and they would actually poke out a little bit if I were to screw this in. Now, you could use little tiny washers, like maybe these plastic ones here, very thin, but I don't have enough of these to go around, unfortunately. So I'm gonna use these thick boys, and I went with black so they would match a little bit better. And this is what I'm gonna use to give myself some space between the mount and the desk. This would obviously be a lot easier with a friend or an extra set of hands, but honestly, since we pre-drilled our holes, it should be pretty easy to actually do the rest of the install. I'm actually just gonna twist this in by hand a little bit just to get the thread started while holding it with my other hand. And then now that that's basically in place, I'm just gonna make sure I have this lined up correctly before I drill down. That looks good. And now it's time to get drilling. So since the first one is in, it's pretty easy from here and straightforward. Literally just need to put our washer on and then in all the holes. We're good to go. Just like that, the mount is mounted. There's plenty of room in here for the Mac Mini. I got my little thermometer set up already. And there are no screws popping through the wood. So that's really good. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good so far. Some last few thoughts while we wait for Boink to get spun up and start turning on some of those proteins. The included hardware, the screws that come with this, are extremely durable. This is like my fourth thing from Oeveo, and I have not stripped a single screw yet. And yes, I'm terrible at screwing things in because I don't know how the sizes of the heads work or the Phillips screws work. So I often strip screws, but on these I have yet to do that. Very high quality stuff there. And of course it comes with a wall mounting option, but I'm not sure how you'll wall mount a mount like this because it would not sit against the wall, but you know, that's whatever. So we're pretty much done, and I think it looks pretty good. Yeah, it juts out a little bit, but that's really because of my desk. That's probably not something you have to worry about at home, depending on your desk and how it's configured. I really don't mind that it juts out on mine, and now I have a lot more hand space to reach behind the Mac, so I can plug things in better or unplug things, and even turn the thing on and off, which is something that I don't actually do. But every now and again, my MacBook will freeze, and I'll have to reach back there and hold the power button to turn it off, which now is no longer a problem because it's so tall, and also there's plenty of space for me to reach my hand behind. All right, let's check out those temperatures. Well, it appears to be doing pretty well already. We're only at 54 degrees, 52 degrees Celsius on the average load for the system. So we're gonna run a little stress test here to see if we can get those rookie numbers up. Even with our stress test running, it seems to be doing much better this time around. We're only at 89 degrees Fahrenheit for the temperature in this entire area. And normally this would be pretty warm, and I don't feel any heat yet generating here. So I think the added space and also the perforated mounts are definitely, the perforated holes are definitely helping this thing get airflow. All right, so the second stress test while running Boink just completed, and while watching it, I didn't actually see the temperature rise above 59 degrees Celsius overall for the system. Now, if you looked at the actual individual CPUs and cores or whatever you want to call them, their temperatures did rise and fall dramatically, but we're just looking at the overall temperature here. And as far as the ambient temperature goes, it's sitting at 93 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 32-ish degrees Celsius. I think that's right. And I think before it was 104 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 40 degrees Celsius, I think. So it's already made somewhat of an improvement. And the actual steel also acts a bit like a heatsink itself, because these things, at least previously, this thing would get very warm to the touch. And I think a lot of that heat also was transferred into the steel mount itself. Now, I don't know how much it helped or how much it hurt, but it definitely got warm, so it was definitely doing something. And of course, there'll be links in the video description for all of the mounts that I have from Oeveo, so you can pick them up for yourselves if you're interested. Yes, they are a little expensive, but again, they are all steel, and they should last pretty much indefinitely, and you never have to worry about them cracking, breaking, or really degrading in any way. In truth, I've been really happy with all mine. And as far as the washers go, I picked those up from Home Depot in the screw aisle or hardware aisle. I don't actually remember the aisle. But they're definitely there. They have all sorts of sizes, plastics and rubbers, as well as your typical metal washers. So you can find those at Home Depot or probably Lowe's if you have one of those. And I think that pretty much concludes this video. So thank you guys all for watching. You guys make videos like this possible, and thank you Oeveo for sending out that mount. It looks like it's going to work out really well from here. Maybe I can get a smaller one in the future, and I'll get that mounted in its place. And yeah, thank you guys. Peace.